Hello and welcome back to the Linux Panic YouTube channel. Have you ever wondered how you could possibly change your network settings to be a bit more personal and custom to your flavors and preferences? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how to play with your network settings, and this will be the same sort of thing across most Linux distributions. I'd like to thank LVILL. I butchered that, I'm sorry, for suggesting the Zune theme this time around, so we're going to be using the Zune theme for this video. Thank you very much. I'll leave a mention in the video description. Anyway, so why would we want to change our networking settings? Well, for starters, to give us some more control over how we use our system and how it's addressed and used by and seen by other things on the network. Now, as we can see here, there are three I have here: Auto, Wired, and Virtual Bridge 0. Auto hasn't been used for a month because Wired 1 has come out. Virtual Bridge 0 I have here is for my virtual machines. And Wired Connection 1 is the main it is the main one that we use, that I use. As standard, a lot of Linux distributions will say, hey, look, this is number 1, and then you go from there. But in my case, this is called Wired Connection 1. I could change the name if I want to. And as standard, it comes with will connect automatically with priority. Let's just set your priority. All users may connect to this network, so if you have multiple users on a network, on a computer, that'd be set, hey, look, specific users only can connect. VPN choice automatically connects to a VPN, and then metered connection. Metered connection, in my case, no, this is not a metered connection. You click save, it closes it. We open it back up. Here's the choices here. We have ENP10S0 or ENP10S0 with MAC address. The reason why the MAC address is there, so you can then identify and say, only talk to this one. So if you've got a computer with a separate network, a drop-in network card, and you've got your onboard and your network, your drop-in one, that would be a way to differentiate between the two and say only ever connect to the MAC address instead of the name, because the name will change from time to time. Cloned MAC address, we can change that. MTU, it's just we leave that standard unless you know what you're doing. Link negotiation, this is the link speed. So in my case, I'm going to set that to manual, and then set the link speed to 1 gig, because that is the link speed between my computer, the switch, the router, because it goes through 2 switches and then hits the router. This is your 802.1x security. This is for further authentication for enterprise level, but because I'm not using enterprise, we're not. Data center bridging, so for talking between a data center, you're setting up your proxies. If you do have one, you've got the ability to set it all up here. And here's where we really want to come to. This is the IP settings. Now, for this, we've got a couple of options. So I'll just get rid of this one and take it to refresh. So bear in mind that my system is unfortunately Ubuntu based. We know how I do not like Ubuntu, but it is Ubuntu based mainly because of the graphics card. 6600 XT. Debian 11 didn't like it. I've not yet tried Debian 12. However, as we were for adding in, and bearing in mind this now says manual, because this is manual, this now doesn't have an IP address. In theory, if I were to save, I can't save this because there's no IP address. But because it doesn't have an IP address, it won't work. So let's add one with add. Pick an address within our class range, because this is a class C address or a 192 address, and it's a 192.168.1 something address. So we'll go back to what I previously had mine set out, so 47. The net mask is the /24 or anything like that. That's just the CIDR, and that says how many IP addresses can be assigned in total. So if you ever see an address that has /24 after the end of it, that's just your normal 254 addresses. Your gateway is normally your router, or if you have another separate gateway setup, like I could potentially do with my Pi-hole. But your gateway is your router address, so in my case it's 254. Yours might be 1.1 or whatever your address is for your router. Search domains used when resolving host names. So for example, you could change it around. My DNS server is set to my root, set to my Pi-hole. I could add in also the Cloudflare one as well, because my Pi-hole also does fail over to does use Cloudflare as its DNS resolver as well. So we've got a double redundancy. Require IP4 addressing to make sure this connects. So just if it supports IP4, and so on. Now, because IP6 is unfortunately hexadecimal. Now, as much as I can manually write down hexadecimal and interpret it, I can't for an IP address because it's a lot of information. But that's a good thing. And address generation mode, it's either EOI64 or stable privacy. We'll just leave that alone. But now that we've done this, we want to come over here and deselect, reselect. Now this is just going to connect us back up to the router. And if we come in here and have a look to see if things changed, this hasn't changed. This will be telling the router, hey look, I want 1 gig of full throughput. This hasn't changed, which is good. We still have everything here, because if we were to do ifconfig, we can, because we'll have that already installed. ifconfig will give us the interface configuration, so we can actually have a look. So if we do ifconfig, as we can see here, that's virtual bridge. That is used for the virtual machines. It uses that as its main identifier. And my onboard Ethernet. This is the IP6 root address. The IP6 address, as we can see here, it's a lot of data. The broadcast address, all routers have, all IP ranges have one. This is just to send out data to the entire network. Be careful with that one. Your usual net mask, that's how many IP addresses there can be on the range. There have currently been no transmission errors, no dropped errors, no overruns, no carriers, and no collisions, which is good. Received a total of 222 megabytes since I've turned on my computer, as well as it is dropped 1300 packages it has received, and it's sent 5.9 megabytes, which is not a lot. But this is just your standard way of looking at it. If we do IPA, we get the same thing but squashed down and a bit, some might say easy to look at, might be, just depends on your opinion on other things. But again, no prefix, just your standard little information as possible. And of course there's an if. But that is how you change your network settings, and a bit of an explanation into networking for Linux. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you disliked the video, hit the dislike button. Maybe consider clicking the notification bell, maybe the super thanks while you're down there as well. If you become a channel member, you can join for as little as £4 a month, if I remember that correctly, and you get early access to videos like this one. Anyway, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. I have been Nick, you have been amazing, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.